Front Sight Training Article number 12. At Front Sight, we administer a skills test near the end of your course. A skills test is essentially a qualification course and accomplishes several things. A skills test adds a little self-induced stress to the training. Since everyone wants to do well on the test, there will naturally be a little bit of adrenaline. This gives you a small taste of the stress you will feel in a real gunfight. Your performance on the skills test gives the Front Sight staff an idea if you are ready for more advanced training. In other words, we use the results of the skills test as a prerequisite for the advanced courses. Most importantly, the skills test gives you a snapshot view of your own skill level. I say snapshot because your skills are always evolving and will be different tomorrow than they are today. Regardless, the test lets you know what skills you need to work on. Since everyone wants to perform well on the skills test, some students spend countless hours dry practicing for the skills test to the exclusion of everything else. As an example, they practice standing 7 yards facing a static target taped to the wall and drawing their handgun at the sound of a shot timer or buzzer. While this sort of practice is certainly beneficial for the skills test, it doesn't translate very well to the street. I'll bet the ranch that when your gunfight happens for real, you won't be squared off against a stationary opponent at exactly 7 yards. And there sure as hell won't be a shot timer involved. So practice for the skills test all you want, but practice for the street too. Gunfights are horribly scary, and most of them are chaotic and unpredictable. The vast majority of gunfights happen at night. What's more, the time and place of the gunfight will be determined by the bad guys, not you. Most elements of the gunfight are out of your control. The only thing that you can control is you. Therefore, you better practice everything you might face in real life. Below is a list of topics you should consider dry practicing. This list is by no means all-inclusive, but it will get you thinking in the right direction. Practice avoiding the gunfight. Get in the habit of using the color code of mental awareness. The color code is a skill that you can practice like any other. If you don't live in condition yellow, you are asking to be a victim. Visualize what you can do under all sorts of circumstances. Create your Rolodex of tactical plans now. Practice a tactical retreat. In other words, if you can simply run away, you should. I know that many states do not require you to retreat, but if you can simply walk away and avoid a gunfight, you should. To that end, practice getting out of the house. Practice communicating with your loved ones. Come up with an emergency plan and practice it. Practice gathering your loved ones into one location. Practice verbal commands and challenges. If you can diffuse a situation with your voice instead of the gun, so much the better. Many people are reluctant to shout or give orders. Get over that hesitation by practicing. Practice using cover and concealment. Put something between you and the bad guys. Practice winning the gunfight. Practice shooting from various distances, ranging from arm's reach to maybe 10 yards. Become adept at engaging multiple adversaries. Rats travel in packs. Practice moving while you shoot. A moving target is much harder to hit than a stationary one. Practice one-handed shooting. You may have one hand occupied by holding on to a loved one. Practice support hand only shooting. This will pay big dividends if your firing sidearm is ever injured. Practice tactical movements around your house, office, etc. This includes corners, doors, T-intersections, stairs, the garage, and your vehicles. Try clearing a friend's house because the architecture is different, which will increase the challenge. Practice when you're tired, sick, distracted. You will not be operating at peak performance in the middle of a gunfight. Practice dialing 911 on the phone. I know a guy who was so stressed after a gunfight that erroneously dialed 411. I know this sounds ridiculous, but people do ridiculous stuff under stress. Practice what you will say to the 911 dispatcher. Practice at night. Practice all of the skills mentioned above in a low-light environment. The rats come out at night. Your low-light practice should include gun handling, chamber check, magazine check, reloads and malfunctions, marksmanship, including the use of night sights, and tactical movement. It's much harder to move around your house in the dark. Practice with a flashlight, both handheld and weapons mounted. Even if you have a flashlight mounted to your handgun, you may find it necessary someday to use a handheld light. Practice both. Practice at night without a flashlight, using only the ambient light. At the risk of sounding redundant, follow the dry practice rules exactly and at all times. Never let down your guard just because you are in a familiar environment. If you get complacent even for a split second, your world will never be the same. Stay focused and dry practice correctly. Okay, enough conversation. Get started today because dry practice is the key to success. Go to www.frontsight.com to subscribe to our free gun training reports. Go to www.frontsight.tv to watch informative and entertaining Front Sight original TV shows.